our now second episode of the podcast. Again, I'm Thomas with the camera this time, so you can see what I look like. And I'm joined again by Chris and Zach.
Hello.
How you guys doing?
Very good. Very excited.
Yes. It's been a long week since we last met. I think just the suspense of waiting to get to the episode was almost as crazy as just actually getting the episode and seeing it all.
Yeah.
We might as well say this at the beginning. Spoiler warning if you haven't seen the first 2 episodes of WandaVision, because we will be going through almost all of it. So now that that's out of the way, if you haven't seen it, go watch it or turn away. Chris, you want to start us off? Honestly, I'm kind of speechless right now.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, the first thing that sort of hit me was, and it sounds really daft because I've watched I don't know how many repeats on the films and different things since what was the last one? Far From Home, I think was that. Yeah, was that the last sort of Marvel? And when the titles came up, the Marvel titles, and you can see the characters in Marvel, and it just brought it back. It just brought the excitement of seeing that logo sort of going through what it goes through, knowing that I haven't seen what's about to come up. That in itself was just so exciting. And that might sound daft, but I didn't care what was about to come. I was just so excited that was there, and I didn't know what was coming after. So
I don't know
just that.
I don't know if they added it in Far From Home, but in the opening Marvel Studios thing, I liked how they added Tony Stark snapping right at the end in the Emma the Marvel.
I think there's a few different things. I haven't double checked with the older ones, but I'm pretty sure there was a few different characters or certainly different images in there. So I think they have to.
Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, and a lack of Iron Man, except for the snap.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like
I think the. Sorry, go on,
Chris?
Tom.
No,
go on, Tom.
Hey.
Well, I was going to say I'm pretty sure that the end game scene where they're flying through the quantum zone, I think that's been added, which obviously wasn't there before.
I don't know if they added the scene, because do you remember I think it was Guardians Volume 1, where Gamora takes like the cannon off the one ship and just starts shooting it at Nebula? I don't remember if that was always in there, but I noticed it.
Volume 2, I believe.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Volume 2, yeah. No, I don't. That's another one which I picked up thinking. Yeah, that's another one which I picked up thinking that I don't remember seeing that in previous Marvel logos, if that's what we're calling it. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well. All right. I let's just get right into the episode. Do we want to go episode by episode for stuff we want to talk about, or do we just want to go?
I have a feeling we're gonna plan on going episode to episode, but we're probably gonna go everywhere. So let's just see where it goes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, episode 1. Okay, first off, one little thing that I thought was just brilliant was how, as the Marvel Studios, like this brand new Marvel Studios logo we're seeing for the first time, slowly starts to finish, it starts to fade to the old TV screen, make it smaller, thinner, turns to black and white, and immediately hits that retro like sound or retro vibe, and then it just starts, and I was like, wow, this like reminds me of watching like a show maybe my parents would have watched.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it certainly reminds me of watching. I mean, this is when I was very young, very young, but Bewitched. I remember watching. It might have been reruns or whatever, but certainly the and I think the second beginning of the second episode in particular, with the starting was very much like Bewitched. sort of that, I don't know if that was 50s, 60s, 60s, was it? Or maybe even 70s, I don't know, but certainly that sort of era. Got a very 50s, 60s vibe from the way it was produced, which was cool, to be fair. Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one little thing, I don't think it's a big thing, I just found it funny, was when right in the beginning, Wanda hits him in the head with that plate, and he says, oh, my whatever, I forget what he says, but then she's like, oh yeah, and my husband with the indestructible head. But then you think back to Infinity War pulling out the mind stone. I laughed at that.
There was a lot of just clear references to the stuff that had happened, just so you like, and it's obviously to let viewers know who might not be as into the series or the universe that like not everything's exactly as it seems. One big thing for me was like seeing, and I'll stick with the first episode to start, but the Stark toaster.
Oh yeah.
It's like you get. Oh, sorry, Chris.
Well, sorry, I was going to ask you the question there. Do you think that they're going to play? Because I've got my own theories on this. Do you think they're going to play a sort of big role in what's going to eventually happen, or do you think they're basically there just to give us a reminder of this is, or a connection with what's happened before maybe?
I think it's more for the connection and just to kind of let you know that this isn't, something's not right. Like we'll stick with episode 1 for now, but again, like the Stark toaster, like Stark Industries, as far as I know, wasn't making kitchen appliances. All we heard about was the weapon development and all that and stuff that they've been very clear Howard Stark did for years until he died.
Well, not to get into the second episode right away, but I'll bring it up when we get to it. But the characters that do the commercials too have a big role, I think, to do with it too. If you guys know what I'm talking about, the second, we'll get into that.
Yeah.
It's just like they're subtly just planting these seeds. I don't know if it's obviously a bit to remind us of what came before, but it's definitely us being like, you're saying these things and they contradict almost everything that's happened in the world that we know so far.
Mm-hmm.
And in the first episode too, it was very apparent. That was also where we got to see the first glimpse of color. When the toaster starts eerily like doing that weird noise, the repulsor ray, if anyone picked that up. And just starts blinking red.
Did you also notice that the only colours that we did see was red? There wasn't any other colours. It was just red. Whether or not that has a reference to anything, I do not know. But I did notice it was only red that we saw.
I wonder if it's something to do with her magic type, because like her magic has always been colored red, right? So I'm wondering if the barrier can like kind of keep. Well, clearly she was wearing red as we saw once it changed, but maybe like stuff that's coming in directly from the outside, the red stays, or if like blood or something like that appears, that stays.
Yeah.
Just because it's the little fractions of the reality that are biting back into it.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense to me.
And I like how in the first episode we got right away that over the radio thing where asking Wanda who's doing this to her. I figured that was going to be way later in the series, but nope, first episode.
Yeah, and it gives me two good things I'm happy about. They've officially confirmed it's Sword, even though we've kind of known about that for months from just set photos and everything that have been released from things. But I don't know. It was Sword. Wu's there. Like Agent Wu is there right now. He's ready. So I'm kind of just think, well, again, we know Monica Rambeau is there because she's already in that reality. What was the other character? Darcy from Thor. We haven't seen her yet, and I'm honestly, as quickly as they're introducing them, I wonder if we're going to see her next week or the week after.
It's I was always not necessarily in the first episode. and I know again I know we're
Yeah.
meant to be sticking with the first episode, but we're jumping now, and I'm jumping myself. But I thought the first episode, especially given that the release them at the same time, I thought, the first episode is just going to be kept in that world. We might come on to whose world do we think it is, and I thought, second episode, we might get especially at the end of the first episode when we got that little hint of someone watching them on the screen, and I thought, the second episode we're going to get maybe cuts to the real world perhaps, and that's where we might see Agent Wu or Darcy or whoever, I don't know, someone who would be connected to what was going on, but we didn't. They kept us very much in that Wanda's world or WandaVision world, which and it wouldn't surprise me if the next episode we all of a sudden get a cut to Darcy or Agent Wu or something from the real world that's going on, perhaps. I don't know. I mean, I've got I don't know. I tell you, should we try and answer the question? Is Vision, is he alive? Is he still dead? What do we think?
I think he's still dead right now. I think he's just imagination because he still has the Mind Stone.
Yeah, I'll pick that up.
That's my big thing. I mean, if the Mind Stone wasn't there, I'd think maybe he was alive, but
here's what actually, Chris, you go first because I need to think about this for a sec.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was sort of back and forth with this, but there was one line in the first episode when Mr. Hart is choking, and the scene completely changes. You have the very sort of, I was saying before about how you have the Bewitched style production where it's old school 50s 60s type sort of TV, but then I don't know if it's just the I don't know if it's the music. I can't quite remember if it's the music or the angle of the cameras, or even just the way that Wanda's speaking. But all of a sudden, oh, hold on a second. It felt in that moment you were taken out of that WandaVision reality, and you were in maybe sort of the real reality, and it felt that she was actually talking to Vision at that point, saying, "You need to save him." Is that what he said? Vision, help him. That's what she says. And I was very much like you, Zach. I was thinking, Vision's just going to be part of Wanda's creation or whatever, or in her head. But in that point, it seemed very much like she was talking to him, saying, "You need to help him." Now, again, that might have been in her head, but I don't know. It felt very real that he might have been there. That's my thoughts on it, anyway.
I might have to mix both of your answers because I think I might have a little bit of a different theory. So, like what Zach said, the Mind Stone's gone. As Thanos said, sorry, just blew into my mouth. As Thanos said, reduced to atoms. They're gone. Probably going to be in the quantum realm somewhere, but that's not being explored right now. So we don't have to worry about that. This stone is gone. So it's probably reality that she's manipulating to put the stone there. Vision's body, however, was never destroyed. It originally was until Thanos used the Time Stone to bring it back so he could just pluck the Mind Stone out of his head. So his body's still fine. There could be a chance that she kind of just found his body, took it somewhere, and then started this whole just deluded reality. And there's actually one scene in, I think right now, Vision's dead. All the stuff we've seen so far, he's dead. Till the last little bit of episode 2. Because of a scene we saw in the trailer too. It's the one where all the color comes back and Vision turns and he looks and he goes, "Wanda." And it's just the way he says it makes it sound like it's the first time he's seen her in a long time. And we've already seen that they've had now the 2 episodes and presumably more time together in that reality. So for him to just be as surprised as he is to see her like that, I think that's actually the moment when the Vision we know gets brought back.
That's actually a really good point. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, I do like that theory, because it was an obvious change. I had that down that when she brought the color in, I just had that down to her and this might feed into the theory that I have. But I had that point that she was just starting to get confident with her powers at that point in this reality that I think she's created. Can I talk about my theory? Is
Yeah,
that
yeah.
should I should I give
No,
you
that's not
what
what
I
we're
think?
doing.
I'll try not to. We haven't gone on to episode 2 quite yet, so I'll try and refrain from sort of stepping on some of them points. But my theory is that she's gone into some sort of coma type sort of stage where she is very much like what you've said, Tom, trying to recreate Vision. I'd never really thought about it as that she had the body and she was just trying to recreate the Mind Stone. That's a very good point and feeds into what my theory was, that she's in some sort of coma type state, making all these creations, which feeds into the sort of the end credits where everything's sort of in little blocks. And my thinking was that's her sort of creating things. I think that she's sort of gone a little bit too far, and it's creeped out into the real world. And you've got different things like you've got Agent Wu and Sword, who are trying to tap into her and just try and say, look, what are you doing? You know, can we help you? This, you know, there's certain phrases that come over the radio. I also think there's others trying to get involved as well, potentially villains, which will mainly come from which feeds into episode 2. So I'll not step on them points yet. But yeah, and I think there's things like that which are happening. They're trying to get into her world. Perhaps there's already someone in there as well. That might be sort of pulling strings, perhaps as well.
To kind of take from both of your guys' theories, she also could have put herself in a state of mind to maybe control her powers more or access more of her powers to recreate the Mind Stone or recreate Vision.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they're all excellent theories, and honestly, fingers crossed, hopefully one of them's right? But
Right. We got about 10 of them, so.
Yeah, exactly. If they are Marvel Studios, hire us. We're here. We're available.
But we come as a package, though.
That's true.
So.
Yeah. If you want one, you get all 3. We'll direct the Fantastic Four. We'll bring Sean in. He's coming. All right. So actually, there's one more thing I did want to talk about, just because this was briefly in episode 1. A lot of the Sokovian heritage, and now we're going back to Wanda's Sokovian heritage. And obviously, like, it was played for comedy in the first episode. Like, oh, that's just the natural Sokovian greeting. Like, whatever. But they have said, or I forget who the writer is, but the writers have said that they're going to be looking into her backstory in Sokovia. And we have seen scenes in the trailer that look like what most likely when the Mind Stone got exposed to her and when she got her powers. So I think this is just also kind of like all the subtle hints that we've been getting so far is just kind of preparing us to, like, we're going to be going back there.
Yeah, that would. I mean, you're right. There has been little hints at that, and that would make sense. Going back to the toaster, I thought that was a bit of a nod to Age of Ultron, where they talk about the story that it was when they were kids and the Stark bomb landed on the house and it was sat there, and they said they were just waiting for it to explode.
Like 3
I
days
felt the toaster. Yeah. I felt the toaster was a sort of and this is why I think it's Wanda that's doing this, because that's one of her memories, and that toaster was a memory of this beeping bomb about to go off, which it doesn't. And I just thought that was I thought that was a little nod to Age of Ultron, and that little bit.
You know what? And I'm going to do it to go into episode 2 a little bit. That second commercial to kind
Go
of
for
add
it,
on
Zach.
to yours, the Hydra symbol
Yeah,
on the watch, because that's
yeah,
also another memory of Wanda's.
yeah,
Obviously, Hydra was the one to basically create her and Quicksilver,
yeah.
and
And
that's
by
why,
Strucker as well.
Yeah.
yep, and that's why I think those two in the commercial are going to play a big role. I mean, they're obviously Hydra, but promoting Stark technology.
I have a I have a slightly different theory because I like what you both have been saying because this is clearly like stuff from her memory, right? Like I think the blinking of the light is very significant of the bomb that went off when she was younger, but the sound that the toaster makes is the repulsor ray showing that she still does remember Iron Man, right?
Yeah.
Then with Strucker, it's a watch because he had her for a while. He had her for a long time, used her to unlock her I guess we can call it her mutant gift now, even if though she's not confirmed to be a mutant, but like fingers crossed, hopefully she will be. I
Right.
kind of think this next commercial is going to be a Quicksilver commercial because this is all like significant events that have happened in her life. Stark, Strucker, and then her brother's got to be at least one of the next one. If not him, then Vision, but Vision's actually in the show. So why have a commercial for Vision?
Yeah, well, maybe Hawkeye. I mean, she seemed to get very close to Hawkeye towards the end. Well, not even towards the end. You know, she sort of struck it up in Age of Ultron a little bit, and then we saw it. See it certainly in Endgame. They have a conversation. I always thought there was something there. You know, a connection between them two. So I don't know. Just elaborating on your theory there that Hawkeye reference maybe. I don't know.
Maybe it could be a battle of the good and bad of her memories. Because if you think about it, both of the ones we've seen could be actually both good and bad. Stark, it's the reason her and her brother lost their parents, as of right now, unless that gets retconned. He's the reason like the whole Ultron thing even started. He's pretty much the reason she lost her brother. We're gonna dive down into it, but she does remember him as the hero. Strucker, it's the other side. Like he experimented on her, tortured her. She didn't like him at all. But it gave her her gift, her powers, and it brought her to be who she is now and to the family as she now has with the Avengers, or had, I guess, because she's kind of on her own now. So I don't know. It's really, it gets my mind working.
Yeah.
And then I was just going to bring up the colors of the helicopter because you said, remembering Stark. Right when I saw that helicopter, it reminded me of Iron Man's suit. I even paused it and tried to like zoom in to see what the numbers were, but they kind of blurred out the numbers and all of that on the helicopter. Really couldn't see anything.
Yeah, it certainly had the sword symbol on it, and I thought, sort of feeds into my theory that I'm thinking, has she inadvertently brought down a sword helicopter in the real world? And that's just the sort of image that we see in her mind, that it's just the red, in the black and white, the red helicopter. Has she done something out there and brought this plane down? I don't know. Again, just a little things like that which just are popping into my head and might be complete nonsense. I don't know. But there's certainly something going on.
It's nonsense.
I mean, Marvel does everything for a reason.
It was about Monica getting in the helicopter. Here, actually, let's start talking about episode 2 now, because I feel like we've covered almost everything we can for episode 1.
Yeah.
Without like getting too deep into episode 2. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Sorry, brain fart. Anyways, yes. So let's just start the title card right away, because the title card, personally, like I found it reminded me a lot of the Jetsons.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh, see, I had Bewitched, but Jetsons, yeah.
I just watched that like the intro for that too, and yeah, Honestly, I think it's really
Yeah,
close. It's almost
yeah.
like a mix between the two of them.
Yeah, wow.
But
Well,
oh, Zach, you want to go ahead?
I was going to say, since we're talking about the intro and then talking about the Infinity Stones, and Marvel does everything for a reason, right around the moon, they do 6 stars that they highlight.
Oh,
right
I didn't
there.
pick that up.
Right there, I was like, I think that's got something to do with the Infinity Stones.
Oh, wow, I didn't pick that up. Good spot.
There is one thing that I don't know if you were here when we were briefly discussing it, Zach, but I think you know it too. I don't know if any of us actually found this when watching. I didn't find it. I found it via Eric Voss on New Rockstars on their YouTube channel, and also on Cosmic_Marvel on Twitter. Posted the Grim Reaper's helmet is actually in the attic when Vision goes up in the title sequence. And not the Grim Reaper most people would be thinking about, not the classic hood scythe. No, this is I'm gonna see if I can I'll post a link to this tweet in the description.
I think I've got, see if you can see it here. Can you see that? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So right there, that was something that kind of like once I saw that like pointed out and I watched through it again, I'm like, it really makes me think that there's definitely something more sinister going on, like a lot more sinister.
Yeah.
You don't bring in the Grim Reaper regardless, unless it could just be an Easter egg, but I have a feeling it might not be.
Is the connections with Wanda or Vision with the Grim Reaper in the
Well,
comics? Sorry.
Not exactly. It's odd. He's basically here. Let me pull up the Wikipedia page on him. Yeah, so I think it was. So he was an inventor. He had competition with Stark Industries, and he ended up turning to the mob for help. Basically, he ended up getting powers from the Tinkerer and from with like stuff that was further enhanced by Ultron's powers. Let's see. Partnerships: Space Phantom, Ultron, Necra, Black Talon, Goliath, and M'Baku. That's his affiliations. Same with Hydra, the Unliving, the Sinister Six, Horsemen of Death, and the Lethal Legion. So this is a character that's appeared across Avengers. Yep, Vision Volume 3. Avengers, Vision, Spider-Man, part of the Dark Reign too, so Hydra too. Not a good guy.
Okay.
Not a good guy.
Well, yeah, when you're the Reaper, I don't think you normally are.
His mom said that she thinks that she would tell him all the time that he was born bad. So that's a little, if this character does even show up. I was just gonna say, like, I thought that was a cool little Easter egg, maybe for what's to come in this show, or maybe a little tease for Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
That could also be why the 6 things around the moon could also be 2 Sinister Six.
Yeah. Links to Spider-Man.
I just think it might be, because they really can. They can tease all they want in it. It's just, I think they can't. I don't know if they like can't directly reference it, but like there's just the weird stuff with the Sony agreement. I don't exactly know what all the rules are, so they have to be touchy with Spider-Man sometimes.
I was gonna say, I don't even think Marvel probably fully knows what's going on with that.
Well, I guarantee
I'm just kidding.
Because apparently, actually, we'll get back to that later. That's a separate topic.
Yeah, but, we'll go somewhere else with that.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, so the Grim Reaper, I thought that was interesting for that. Then what we were just talking about, which actually brought us to episode 2, was Monica Rambeau, and I can't remember off the top of my head what she said her character's name was in that reality. Yes,
Geraldine.
Geraldine. Zach, you were saying you thought she came through in the helicopter, right? Most likely.
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I said that.
Maybe, okay, I might be having a brain fart then. I was thinking like the helicopter's there. It looks like a toy, but I wonder if it's Pym Tech.
Oh.
And I wonder if that could be how Monica came in. But there's a slight theory that might go against it because there was I can also link this in the description as well. Just some set photos from WandaVision, and one of them's Wanda and Agent Wu behind her. She's standing on the ground and reaching out, and her hand just slowly starts to phase through like what looks like nothing. Here, I'll see if I can send this just in the chat right now so you guys can see. And
yeah, my theory with Monica Rambeau is that she has been, I think she's been sort of plugged in to Wanda in some way. Like they've sent Sword of, I don't know if she, again, I don't know if she has any does she have connections with Sword in the comics, but she does, right?
And she is working for them now.
Yeah, well, and my theory is that they've sort of sent her in, and she's gone in there, and she just doesn't have a clue. Doesn't have a clue who she is. She's been told she's Geraldine by, probably Agnes. I'm guessing, and or Wanda possibly, yeah. And she's trying to find herself in there as well. But yeah, possibly going in as by Pym Tech. Yeah, I like that idea. I do like that idea of going in via the helicopter, maybe. Yeah.
I thought it was strange that they just had that like I get it's a toy that she kind of sees, but like the sword thing is like that's pretty prominent, and I feel like that's probably like an actual helicopter, and like it was like weird stuff like that, like in the Ant-Man movie with the roll of Hot Wheels cars, pick one out, that's what you're driving. Kind of reminded me of that. And maybe like once you're inside, if you shrunk down, you could just press a button, full sized. But yeah. What else should we talk about for this episode? Oh, actually, I have one more thing related to Agnes, but do you guys want to talk about the beekeeper?
I was just about to say that, especially when you bring up Pym technology, and he's got, that kind of makes me think of that right away. Well, I didn't think of it until you were just saying it. I mean, we don't obviously get to see his face at all, but I mean, what's his name? Obviously not Hank Pym, but
Scott Lang.
No.
Yellow Jacket.
Yeah.
Darren Cross.
Yeah. Like what if that's him trying to like get the, can't think of the words right now, but for the suit and everything.
Yeah.
He's trying to get the Pym Tech for the suit.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I can't remember what was on his back. It was like a target or something.
I think it was the sword logo.
Was it?
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was a sword logo. But I think that's there to throw us off. I think the what I found really sort of weird about that particular bit was you've got two probably the most powerful superheroes that we're aware of in the MCU certainly, and at that moment when that beekeeper starts coming out of the drain, they're petrified. They're absolutely petrified. They shouldn't be doing that. They've raced into battle. They are not scared of standing up to people, yet in their faces they are scared of what's coming out of that drain, and so much so that Wanda reverses things, which again feeds in my theory that she's starting to get to grips with things. This is her world. maybe not entirely, but she can manipulate it. So it's like, shit, don't want to be dealing with this guy here. I'm rewinding and doing it a bit differently. And I mean, there's two. I've picked some stuff up from forums. Well, one of them was mine. I'm not quite sure it's going to be who I think it is, but one was that the outfit that he's in, he's apparently, and when I've looked at it online, in the comics, is it AIM, Advanced Idea Mechanics? They are dressed in beekeeper type of outfits. And I didn't know whether or not it was AIM being introduced into it. And again, that feeds into all these people who are trying to maybe get a bit of her power. You've got Sword trying to get in there. We'll probably come on to Agnes in a bit. And then AIM as well, maybe trying to send people in there. The only thing around that is there was actually bees swarming around them. Then made me think, oh, could it be Swarm from the Spider-Man? Now I don't know if Swarm has any links with Wanda or Vision, but it's certainly it's a Spider-Man link anyway.
Yeah, like Swarm was like originally a Nazi.
Oh, really? Right. Okay.
It was something that like apparently like Hitler developed. And he was a really like obscure villain. And honestly, I'd be happy because I mean Swarm, and I think he was in a few Spider-Man comics. I think he was in the one show too. I'm trying to think, was it the 90s one? I don't know. I need to rewatch that and find out. But like the character's interesting, and the MCU's done really good things with characters who are already interesting just to make them better. Really.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
something like this, something super obscure, like I'm all for it. They brought Mantis into the Guardian. First off, they brought the Guardians of the Galaxy to be a household name.
Yeah.
Like I do have faith that they can do, if it is Swarm, they can do that. But I have too many questions about the Beekeeper right now.
Well, then that could make sense with Hydra being hinted in the show too, then, because they were Nazis. I mean,
yeah.
But if the Beekeeper is working for AIM, I wonder if we're gonna get some subtle references to MODOK coming up.
Yeah, well, that's what, because I also, again, the link with Strucker, wasn't Strucker part of AIM at one point, I think. And the sort of link, Strucker was mentioned earlier on in the episode, and I don't know,
because AIM was the one Aldrich Killian started in the MCU, right?
Yeah.
With Extremis,
yeah.
I think it's very possible that company just continued after he died. I'm almost positive they aren't bringing his character back. I think it'd make a lot more sense if they actually brought in MODOK. Maybe he took over it.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of just questions around that right now. I feel like that's probably going to be one of the biggest questions in the series, because I feel like that won't be answered anytime soon.
It's certainly it's good to have someone like the Beekeeper being, if that's even his name. I don't even know if that's his name. We're calling him the Beekeeper. But that, this mysterious person who is a villain, might not even be a villain. You're automatically thinking this guy's a villain, especially with the reaction of Wanda and Vision. You're thinking this guy's a villain here. But yeah, I agree. I think his or her, might not be him, but certainly that that person's background, I think it'll be kept a mystery. I think for a few episodes at least. Just to sort of add to the tension, because like I said, they did not like that guy when he came out the drain. So
See,
Yeah.
my first thought wasn't even that Wanda reversed it. I thought he reversed it for getting
Ooh.
seen, for getting seen,
Ah.
and
Hmm.
altering her reality, or well, fake reality, I should say. But
Yeah.
I
it
did
didn't
think
even
that
it didn't even occur
Yeah,
to
I
me that
haven't.
Wanda reversed it.
Wanda, it's just
Mm.
this. I know they're taking pieces from House of M, like the big story where Wanda says no more mutants, and almost
Yeah.
every mutant except for the profitable ones don't have powers. It really kind of reminded me of that. Not like the first episode with Vision when she said that, like the kind of Vision help him. Like I was just kind of like, oh, that was weird. But in this one, it it almost seemed like she was saying that like no more mutants line, but just no, like no, that's it. She just says no, and time just whoop, you go back, and it's like, what?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I don't know if she's got a full hold on her powers, but I think she's start. I like you guys were saying. I think she is starting to become more aware that she does have power in that reality, and she can manipulate it to how she wants.
Mhm. So, is it a good time to? Well, I'll ask the question. Do we think she's in fully control of this reality, or do we think it's been maybe controlled or manipulated by someone else? And I think this might be the permanent moment to talk about Agnes
Yes.
and who Agnes or who we think Agnes is.
Uh,
First, I'll say I don't think she has full control, obviously, because
Mm.
there's things that happened that surprised her even and kind of stunned her. And I'm still going with my original theory that Agnes maybe put her under whatever she's going through. Like she put her into this reality or in some kind of comatose state, and the show's going to be Wanda trying to maybe get herself out of it, but also bringing back, well, like you said, Vision back into it at the same time. Or maybe Agnes is putting Wanda into it to bring back Vision, but for her own needs and not Wanda's, if that makes sense.
I
Yeah.
give you, yeah. I'm I'm kind of on board with that. I do think that Agnes is like I don't think Wanda has full control. I believe she has the majority of the control, but she is very clearly being manipulated by someone, as Agent Wu even says. Like we've heard it multiple times in the trailer, now in the show. Who's doing this to you, Wanda?
Mm.
I don't think Agnes is actually Agnes either. And I believe, and I think, Chris, if you want to expand on this a bit more, I think it's actually Agatha Harkness from the comics, one of the original witches from the Salem trials. And I like she has a strong partnership with Wanda in the comics, likes to manipulate her.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that's kind of the route they're going with her.
Yeah, she across both the episodes, she just seems to be in complete control. You know, you've got WandaVision who haven't got a clue what they're doing. You know what I mean? You've got Monica, Monica Rambeau or Geraldine doesn't know what they're doing. Everyone else, particularly Agnes, she seems to be not necessarily leading Wanda, but she's there at key points to say, well, oh, you need to make this meal, you need to get this sorted. I'll help you out with that. She's been very helpful, and I think sort of maybe guiding her in certain ways, the ways that Agatha wants her to go.
Gaining trust,
Um,
basically.
Yeah.
yeah, 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 and I think you're right. I think Agnes. I think it's probably whether or not she's put her in that state, Wanda in that state, or tricked her to go in that state. You know, saying Wanda, if you go into this sort of reality, you can bring Vision back, or you can do this or whatever. With her having her own motives involved. But I did some reading up on this because I was quite interested because without not read the comics, I thought I'll try and get some background myself, and that got me thinking about the other characters that are all the neighbours. was thinking, are these just people that are just created by by Wanda? And then as I was reading up on stuff, I thought, could it be? I don't know. Is it the Satan Seven or the Salem Seven? Which are they? I mean, Tom, Thomas, I don't know if you know this better. What I've read is that they were. I don't know if they were they. I think they were the granddaughters or the grandchildren of Agnes of Agatha.
Yeah,
and I just thought, yeah, and I just thought, are they has Agatha brought them in as well, and that's feeding into Wanda's sort of reality where you've got, and this again brings back to my sort of theory that you've got all these different people trying to sort of get to Wanda or manipulate her, and she hasn't, and Wanda obviously hasn't got a clue what's going on. So you've got Sword, you've got maybe Aim, you've got Monica Rambeau who's trying to get in there, and then on the other side you've got probably Agatha, pulling the strings to some extent, with her sort of her gang, sort of helping her out. That was my sort of theory around the neighbours as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Salem 7, I think that'd work well, because they work with Agatha's son primarily, and sometimes Doctor Strange. So
right.
However, they're usually enemies of Agatha.
Right. Okay.
That's one part where they could change it. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they did, because it'd probably make more sense. But I kind of think Agatha's working, or sorry, what's her Agnes? I'll stick to that, because we don't know if she's Agatha yet.
Yeah. Fair.
I think she's working with Mephisto. So Mephisto is the devil of the Marvel universe. She's made some very just bizarre comments, like the one in episode 2 when they're at that garden party. She just turns to Wanda and just goes like, "Oh dear, like the devil's like much closer than you realize," or something like that. And then it just cuts to like the next part, and I was sitting there, I'm like, "Excuse me?" I'm like, well, you're just gonna move on from that? Like that? What?
Yeah.
So I'm almost convinced it's Mephisto, and like Mephisto, I don't think he's going to be in the show unless it's the final episode, and it's just Agatha being like, "Oh man, well I messed with them so much that her mind's gone. What do you want me to do now?"
Yeah, there was a lot of references. I can't remember them off the top of my head, but I picked up a few references to the devil. There was at least 3 or 4 in episode 2, I think, mainly. And I can't remember where I first picked it up, and because I rewatched it again, and I was like, yeah, there's a few mentions of the devil, which isn't, I don't think that's by coincidence. They've been put there to hint at something, and I think you're probably right, Tom. Yeah.
And kind of hinting of sacrificing her husband when they're about to do the disappearing act, and she's like, "Oh, can I volunteer my husband, make him disappear?" Like
that's the whole thing. Like, what was up with like Ralph? Like, this poor guy just got berated the entire thing. She's like, "Oh yeah, but my husband Ralph," and it's like, man, what you doing with Ralph? What did Ralph do?
But we didn't see Ralph, did we? I was trying to decide, was Ralph at the show, and I don't think he was. He wasn't, was he?
No, but there is something that I noticed the second time I watched through. Vision's boss, Mr. Hart, isn't at the show, but his wife is. Know who his wife's sitting with? Agnes. No Mr. Hart, though. There's another seat. No Mr. Hart, but Agnes is there.
Right.
So I think maybe there is some people that Agnes is controlling.
It almost reminds me of it almost reminds me of the movie Inception. Because in Inception, where they're like, oh, when you kind of do too much, your conscience becomes aware. And when the radio thing happens at the end of episode 1, she's like, "Who are you?" And then like everything starts shaking. She cuts her hand, and then Wanda gets the napkin for her.
She said, "Why are you doing this to us?"
And then she just goes back to normal, like, figure out how to get blood out of white linen or whatever. Like, what? Like,
That was such a creepy like transition, in my opinion. Like I was like, wow, it's just like you hear Wu going like, Wanda, who's doing this to you? Wanda, can you hear me? And she's looking at her, and like the girl's just like, who are you? What are you doing to us? And I'm like, it's happening again. Episode 1 flashbacks of Mr. Hart on the ground. Like,
Yeah.
it. I feel like we've kind of covered most of these episodes, but like, what do you guys expect from episode 3?
Certainly a time shift, I would say.
Yeah,
in terms of, sorry, go on, Zach.
I was gonna say it seems like they're going through the decades of television.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. So I think we're gonna get more of a '70s era kind of TV show per episode.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think it's gonna all add up to present time in the MCU.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think it'll turn more towards reality than actually TV though towards the end.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I see. I'm shifting my thoughts on it now, because originally I thought that we'd quite quickly jump from sort of the TV world, Wanda's Vision world, to maybe where Agent Wu is in the real world. But now, especially after what you've just said there, Zach, I'm wondering whether or not we might actually not see to Darcy and Agent Wu till maybe a couple of more episodes, until we catch up with sort of present day, perhaps. I don't know. Unless they do just quickly move forward, perhaps.
Well, I just want to add too before I forget. Maybe we have the title of the show wrong too. WandaVision. Maybe Vision doesn't necessarily mean the character Vision. We're getting Wanda's vision,
I like that. I took it as like, now that they're married, she takes Vision's only name. So she's no longer Wanda Maximoff, she's now WandaVision.
Right.
Oh.
But it's Marvel. They like to...
They'll do anything.
Yeah.
I think we might get to see how Monica Rambeau got in. I think that might be the only thing we'll see of the outside.
Yeah.
At least for now.
Yeah.
There's a lot, and there's a lot I want to see too, because Evan Peters' character hasn't shown up yet. We've had 0 to no mentions of Quicksilver at all. I don't know. There's been a lot of the stuff about the Sokovian heritage. Like, her one wall painting is actually like where Hydra held her and Quicksilver. So there's a lot of that. I feel like, I don't think that's going to be the next episode where they go back and look at the Sokovian stuff, but I think maybe episodes 5 or 6, because I think the last like 2 or 3 episodes, Paul Bettany came out and said there's supposed to be like a huge fight, and like apparently all the fights for the series are going to be delivered in the last 3 episodes.
Ooh, that's going to be exciting.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I hope they take Vision and just make him insanely overpowered like they did in Age of Ultron. Like, come on, we need to see Vision unleashed.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was thinking, I mean, obviously at the end we saw that she was pregnant, so it seems obvious that the next episode will probably be certainly talking about that. I don't know whether or not the kids will come in the next episode. Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe as babies.
Sorry,
maybe as babies right at the end, but I think nothing beyond.
Yeah, and it's how that how that plays out, because obviously all of a sudden she was fairly out there. It wasn't as if it was just there was an obvious bump, so they could quite easily progress from just bigger bump and then all of a sudden they're in a cot. it could be that quick.
During the talent show, even before my first watch through, I was kind of looking, and it looked like she kind of already had a bump there too. I didn't know if it was the costume or what, but after rewatching it the second time, it definitely looks like she's got a bigger stomach during the talent show.
Yeah. I just while you talked about that, I thought the outfit that she wore was a bit of a nod to her costumes in the comic book as well.
Yeah.
I know the color, but she was very, in the comics very didn't wear much, did she? So I just thought that was a nice little nod to that. So yeah.
I'm trying to think. We don't really know. It's like summer right now there, right?
Yeah.
That's the kind of vibe we got. Okay.
Well,
There's. Oh, sorry.
sorry, go on.
Go ahead.
Go on. Yeah,
I
yeah.
was gonna
No,
say
no, you go, Tom.
the Halloween episode. I don't think it's gonna be next episode, and that's gonna be one where like we're actually gonna get to see like the classic Vision and Wanda suits from the comics.
Yeah.
Makes me excited.
What I was going to mention when you just mentioned the date there, just a geeky sort of comment really, and it's not mine. It's from the website Den of Geek, but I just thought it was a pretty cool thing. The date where the heart was on the calendar, it was August the 23rd. Now that can be written as 8-23, but it can also be written 23-8. So if you take them numbers 238, they come up in Avengers number 238, which is the story where it dealt with an incapacitated Vision who was trying to reactivate, and that's when they also introduced Monica Rambeau. I just thought it was pretty cool.
Wow.
Just thought it was a pretty good catch. I would never have got that, which is why I'm crediting Den of Geek for that.
Yeah.
But I just thought someone's really sort of spotted that and looked into it. And I just thought for that to be, I mean, it might have been a complete coincidence, but to pick, August the 23rd and then have them numbers, I don't know. I just thought it was pretty cool.
Then to actually introduce the character like right after too. I think you're right.
Yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Do you want to do some of the trivia cards, or do you guys want to talk a little bit more about some other Marvel stuff that's been going on? Because I do have some news.
I'd be down for both. If you want to edit this out though and give me like 1 minute, I drank a huge gallon of water.
That's okay. That's okay.
So I'll be back in like 1 minute.
All right. I was gonna say though, there were a ton, and I mean like a ton of Spider-Man set photos and videos that have been released.
Oh, really?
Only with Tom Holland so far. But honestly, I'm sorry, Zach. We might actually have to keep this in just because Chris and I are gonna go over this to start. So a lot of the scenes. There's a few of Tom Holland in the Spider-Man costume. There's one of Zendaya in a store, so MJ in the store, and it looks like Peter Parker's walking in. There's a video of that. There's also like newsstands. There's a poster with here. I'll link the tweet, but there's a poster, and one of the things, it's the Mysterio costume, and it says "I believe." So I'm gonna stick with it. This is gonna be our Spider-Man 3 topic, and I guess this and the trivia cards will probably be how we end out this podcast. But
wow.
I don't think Mysterio is dead.
Well, do you think is he dead or is it? Well,
like it seems like they're just using him as like a martyr almost right now. There's the other one of just the description of the scene of.
See, yeah.
All right, what I missed.
So we're just some Spider-Man 3 stuff, a bunch of set photos, and a set video have been released. I just sent them into the chat now. If you want to take a look at those.
I got notifications for those on YouTube, and I meant to look at them before watching or before getting on the podcast, and I just didn't.
No, it's okay. And then they said earlier, more interesting set photos are coming. Oh wait, no, I think that was about the Mysterio poster thing. but still, like, I just think I'll put all these in the description as well for anyone who wants to take a look at them. It'll be on Cosmic_Marvel's Twitter. Shout out to them for bringing it in. Mind you, they a lot of it is reposted, but they're the one who I follow, so give them the credit. Looks like a lot of the photos are from Just Jared.
Yeah.
Very, very reputable.
I mean, it seems like a quite an obvious the way it finished. Spider-Man 2, Far From Home. That Mysterio would still be, or even the aftermath. I mean, you know, like we've said with Marvel before, they're very good at sort of throwing us off the scent. Whether or not these are things that they're doing to throw us off, or they're going to go with them, you know, with Mysterio still being around. It wouldn't surprise me if he's alive at all. You know, this that's what he does, isn't it? You know what I mean? He does these fake things. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm very skeptical about the fact that these are being leaked quite early on. I think they might be trying to throw us off the scent, personally. But
I think this just draws the connection to Far From Home. Forget all the rumors you've heard. Alfred Molina, nah. Jamie Foxx, nah. Tobey Maguire, nah. None of them. You're not going to see them. We're going to show you the bare minimum, to get you excited. Which, I mean, hey, it's working.
Or just throw so many stories out there that, you know, we don't know which one to believe.
There's also that, isn't there? Yeah, I don't know. I'll be well disappointed now if I don't see, well, three Spider-Mans. You know, it's been talked about that much now. I didn't really want to see them at first. I thought, no, just keep it as Tom Holland Spider-Man. I'm happy with that. I'm happy bringing another, you know, but now it's been talked about. I actually want to see how it would pan out, having them three along with all, you know, with Electro, Doc Ock, you know, having them back. I think it would be pretty cool. So if they now did a sort of a U-turn and go, no, none of that's happening, I think it'd be very disappointing, to be honest. It'd probably still be a great film, but I'd be slightly disappointed.
Oh yeah.
I wonder if a lot of those scenes with those bigger actors though are being filmed in Atlanta and just doing it on a soundstage. That way they can keep it a bit more under wraps, because I mean, like we saw what we were covering last week with Thor: Love and Thunder, Chris Pratt, Karen Gillan, and Dave Bautista all landed in Australia, and the only thing that's filming there right now is Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
Guardians isn't even set to begin pre-production until the end of this year. So yeah, like it's stuff like that they're clearly trying to avoid, because they want to do something crazy with this. And did you guys both see the Morbius trailer?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
With Jared Leto's Morbius? Okay.
No,
you should watch that, because there's a Spider-Man poster in it that says murderer. And there's my dog's barking. I'm gonna try to get this out quick. I might have to mute. But and there's another one of Adrian Toomes, Vulture.
Ooh,
yeah,
nice.
And he sees Michael Morbius, and he's like, "Hey, what's up, Doc?" Morbius trailer here. Yeah, I won't put that in the description, but if you guys want to watch that, just search it up on YouTube.
Yeah, I'll have to have a look. I know what I'm doing as soon as we finish this.
But that just tells me that this is gonna cross over more now, and that there's some kind of connection. So I don't know if they're gonna make it a bit more loose from the MCU now, all the Spider-Man characters.
And didn't they release that trailer right after the Sony and Marvel deal was finally made?
Yeah. Let me see.
I think it.
Yeah.
I think it was the same week. Like
a year and 4 days ago. So like a few months after the deal was actually completed.
Because I think I heard something that they had to go back and like they added that Spider-Man poster. I don't know if
They had
that's
to
true.
change. No, I think this was done before the thing was done. So they have Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man suit in the trailer, but like I think once the actual movie hits, it's probably going to be Tom Holland's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, unless it's not, and they're throwing us a curveball, and this is Maguire's reality.
I mean, would it make sense for them to break? I'm talking Sony and Marvel here. Would it make sense after the third one, you know, for Sony to cut loose and say, you know, going on our own again now? I'm not saying that's what I would want. I think their connections with the MCU needs to be kept. But sorry, Zach.
I think with the Sony deal, it was Spider-Man 3, another Avengers movie, and one other movie Tom Holland's contract was. No?
It's only Spider-Man 3 and the Avengers.
Okay. I thought it was 3 movies, but...
I'm trying so does that mean was that Infinity War Endgame, and now he's only got one left? It's just Spider-Man 3, or he's got another one after that? But
the original deal was Civil War, Homecoming, Infinity War, Endgame, and Far From Home. So those 5.
Yeah.
So you're supposed to have 2 solos, 3 like appearance ones.
Yeah.
This one, it's only 1 solo and 1 appearance, but then there was some rumors of them maybe re-upping the deal to make it 3 solos and 3 appearances on top of like the 2 he hasn't even done yet. So it'd be 8 more movies.
All right. Okay.
I seriously wouldn't doubt it. Like, honestly, I think it's in Sony's best interest to keep it like this because, I mean, we've seen Sony try to do this stuff on their own before. The Amazing Spider-Man they just tried to set stuff up and it didn't work. To be able to bring these characters in now with a developed Spider-Man in a developed universe, it's really just the best thing for them because otherwise they're just going to lose money. Like, a lot of people do want to see this Morbius movie, and I'm not going to lie, when they first announced it, I was like, I'm not going to see that. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. I would have seen it, but I was a bit like you. I was sort of like, oh, really? Am I gonna have to sort of? I was a bit like that with Venom. It was sort of like, oh, am I gonna have to watch that type of thing? You know, I'm not that bothered, but actually, Venom, I quite like Venom actually, to be honest.
I really like Tom Hardy. I will say I did not like the movie. Personally, I think I was just stuck in the mentality, which I feel like a lot of people were going in to see it. Venom's not Venom unless he's already bonded with Peter Parker to give him those powers, right? So like Venom has a bond with it. Like maybe they retcon that a bit for the next movie and just be like, something happened, this like blah blah blah. But I don't know. That part just immediately drags me out, especially when they were talking about bringing Venom back in, and Tom Hardy and Tom Holland have both talked about Venom and Spider-Man potentially fighting down the line. I'm like, I just, that movie was rushed in my opinion. It worked because that's what got them Morbius. That's what's going to get, what are the other, there's a few other, I think they wanted to do a Craven film as well. Stuff like that. It's like, that's what you needed to kick it off. That was technically their Iron Man. Let's not pretend I compared Venom to Iron Man, but you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just like, without it, they wouldn't have been able to do it. But also without it, they could have had a better introduction for their characters in a established universe. So,
was it a Craven solo movie, or wasn't? I thought he was going to be the main villain for Spider-Man 3, supposedly.
No. But they also have a film. Like Sony has like a Craven film thing like ready or something. I can't remember if it's like a Facebook page taken out with Craven or a Twitter account that's like just set like Craven official or something like that.
Yeah, I think sometimes certainly Sony have to be careful with these characters because, like you say, the MCU set up now. You can bring characters in now, and I guess sometimes I think this is what Marvel I think sometimes do. They bring a character in, and they get a feel for it. You know what I mean, and maybe get a reaction of fans. Is it going to work? Yeah, you know what I mean? Yes, it is. We can push them, really push them forward. And then sometimes maybe some characters come in and think, oh, actually, it hasn't quite hit with fans here. Do we need to tweak it, or do we just sort of let that character fade away? And I think Sony can use the links with Marvel to do that with their characters. Bring them in and then maybe give them the solo film if they need to. But yeah, certainly my wish is for Sony to stay with Marvel as long as possible, because Spider-Man's my favorite by far. And I mean, I loved the Tobey Maguire films, first two in particular. I actually liked Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. Didn't think they were great films. But yeah, liked Andrew, and what they've done with Tom Holland, I think is brilliant. So can't argue with that. Can't argue with any of the Spider-Mans that we've seen on film. This is including Into the Spider-Verse as well. Miles Morales, absolutely brilliant.
Great.
Yeah. And I actually thought that's where we might see the likes of Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. I thought that's where we would have seen them in the second one of. I don't even know if they are. I'm assuming they are making a second Spider-Verse. Yeah.
Next year.
I thought one. Yeah. I thought one of them might have appeared in the multiverse in some way, but we'll obviously see what happens with Spider-Man 3.
Yeah. It'll be very interesting. I think the original plan was to have, I think it was Tom, Andrew, and Toby in the original one, but Sony didn't have a good enough deal with Marvel at the time that they could have brought Tom Holland in, so they scrapped it. They were going to do it for a future one. That's Feige has said it, like, Spider-Man will connect to the multiverse. Into the Spider-Verse is also connecting to the multiverse. I honestly wonder if that's just a bridge point where, like, Toby, Tom, and Andrew, they maybe meet in live action for a second, go into the multiverse, and the next time we see them is into the Spider-Verse too.
Animated. That would be pretty dope.
Animated now.
That would be pretty dope.
I think that's what it might be. Because they have, I think it's for Spider-Man 2099, Oscar Isaac's playing him. And it'd be kind of hard to bring him, Oscar Isaac, Poe Dameron from.
He's playing who? Sorry.
Or Apocalypse.
Yeah, Apocalypse. Sorry, right. I'm trying to think. I brain fart. Who did I say he was playing? Oh, that's gonna haunt at me now. Spider-Man 2099.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Okay, so the future version of Spider-Man that's not actually the future. It's the same time, just a different universe. Yeah.
Which is my favorite, like costume-wise, especially.
He's so cool. I just think like it'd be cool to bring him in live action. He can't really. He's playing Moon Knight, so you'd have Spider-Man 2099 and Moon Knight like turn and look at each other and just be like, "Oh, like
Spider-Man." The live-action Spider-Man I'd like to see is the Carnage version of Spider-Man. I don't know. I mean, I would just like to see that just because in the video games, when you unlock his suit, I just love the way he looked. That's the only reason for me.
I think Carnage might be one of the things that unfortunately is going to just stay on the Sony side, which sucks.
Isn't Carnage meant to be in Venom 2?
Yep. Main
villain. Woody Harrelson was supposed to play him.
I think he still is.
Is he?
Yeah.
It's what's the title called? Venom: Let There Be Carnage.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of gets the point across.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we got a lot of great stuff to look forward to. Do you guys want to do the little trivia cards?
I'm down.
Where we go?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I've got them here.
Let's see.
My audio shouldn't go out this time.
Right. Yeah, I don't know what happened there last time. I'll just pick a random card. Like I say, there's various subjects. Just pick one from the middle. The Avengers. Yes. Right, here we go. What is the name of the Stark family butler who works with the Avengers? I'll put a list if you want the list. Hank Pym, Edwin Jarvis, Bruce Banner.
It is
Edwin Jarvis.
Yeah. True or false? The Avengers were formed after Loki tricked his brother Thor into a battle with the Hulk.
I believe that's true.
False.
That's true. True.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
Comics,
Okay, never mind. I'm thinking of the like initiative. Like I was thinking of, yeah.
Yeah, these aren't based on the MCU. These are, I think these are mainly based on the comics. Okay, the last one on this card. Which huge team member do the Avengers distrust?
Hulk.
I think there's a few.
Yeah.
I think Hulk's
Yeah.
one of them.
Hulk.
There's
Yeah, the
Deadpool.
Hulk's.
Moon Knight.
Well, the answer on the card was the Hulk.
Yeah.
So, should I do another one?
Yeah, we'll do one more.
Do one more. All right, let's just pick
And then we
one
can
there.
call it a day.
Yeah. Ant-Man. Oh, easy one. Who was the original Ant-Man?
Hank Pym.
Hank Pym. Yeah. True or false? Scott Lang becomes the second Ant-Man when he steals the costume from the original Ant-Man to try and save his daughter. Well, I think we know the answer to that one. Yep. Name one of the other superhero identities of Ant-Man Hank Pym.
Yellow Jacket. Giant Man. I think there's another one too. I can't remember what it is.
There's a third one.
Ultron.
No, that's not the answer I've got here.
Okay.
I'm not sure you're going to get the answer to this because I don't quite understand this. But it is. So yeah, the names from the other superhero identities of Ant-Man, Hank Pym, Giant Man, Yellow Jacket, and Wasp. Did he ever wear the Wasp?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Part of
Didn't
the
know
time
that.
Janet left him because he originally was an abuser in the comics, and then Marvel couldn't figure out how. Yeah. That's kind of why Scott Lang's the MCU Ant-Man, and Hank Pym's more of the afterthought. But at least they're showing like they're having this version of Hank Pym be a decent person.
Yeah. In love with his wife.
Yeah, honestly. Alrighty though, guys. Well, I think that will bring us to the end of this week. We went over quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so we will definitely be back probably about the same time next week to cover episode 3. And
next week's episode will be exciting.
Yeah, whatever new Marvel news will come next week too. We should have that as well. But yeah.
Awesome.
Easy.
Good speaking to you.